It is time to go live. Good morning. Good morning. Good Friday morning. Friday, April 18th, 2025. Happy Friday. Help. Looks like the stream's working. Let me mute that tab there. The streams are working. All right. Happy Friday. How we doing? We made it through another week. Halfway through the month. Well into the second quarter. How are we doing? I am broadcasting live from Austin, Texas. My name is Keith, and we are here to talk about jobs in tech. We're here to talk about the greater business news and how it may affect jobs in tech. But really, we're here just to hang out while you are getting out job applications. It's an odd concept for a stream, I know. But I have a number of friends who are in the job market. They found themselves laid off, and they just need a pal to hang out with, to stay consistent with, to just get up in the morning, grab themselves a caffeinated beverage, and hit those job boards and get those job applications out. And I have volunteered my time to do that. Also, if you know anybody who is in that same boat, who's looking for a job and just needs to stay consistent, when they start putting out all those applications and not hearing anything back, or getting ghosted, or getting interviews and lowball offers, and getting very frustrated with the whole process, it's easy to lose steam. But if you got somebody just to hang out with while you're putting out those applications, a voice in your ear in the background while you're hitting up all those job boards, copying and pasting your cover letter, and working on improving your LinkedIn and your resume. If you need somebody's voice in your ear while you do that, if that would be helpful, please share this with them. I stream Monday through Friday. I have been streaming since the first of the year, January 1st at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, broadcasting again from Austin, Texas. Program note, starting on Monday, I'm going to be pushing this back an hour, and we're going to be broadcasting at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I think we don't have a whole lot of viewers on the stream. We've been doing it for months now, and although I don't spend a whole lot of time marketing it, my viewer numbers are pretty flat. So I'm thinking, well, maybe people who are unemployed just aren't getting up at 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So maybe we'll push it back a little bit and see if that'll help. We'll see. We'll see. My day job really doesn't start until around noon, and I go until about 9. I manage a coding school, and most of our students study in the evenings. So my job is a little pushback. I have time in the morning. That's the time when I have to get up and do things in my the things I'm interested in the morning. So I'll still be getting up and writing some code before the stream starts. But we're going to try that, see if that makes any difference in our overall streaming numbers. But again, if you know anybody, please share. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I have been a professional developer for over 30 years, and I'm always looking to grow my network. One of the key things in the job search is expanding that network, leveraging it. When you see a job on a job board that feels like it might be a good fit, hit up LinkedIn, see if you know anybody. And no on LinkedIn's kind of a weird one, right? Like, we run into people at a meetup 5 years ago, and we share our LinkedIn, and we never talk to them again. But they're in our network. And a lot of times you look at those people in your LinkedIn network, you're like, I have no idea who this person is. I don't know where I met them or how long ago. It'd be nice if you could put a little note in there about like, hey, met them at this place. But that doesn't exist right now. But it's interesting because you never know when you're out there hustling. You got to use every angle. I may have only bumped into you one time 5 years ago, but if you're working in a company that I'm interested in, it's worth my time to just shoot you a quick note and say like, "Hey, we're connected on LinkedIn." I don't remember how, frankly, but I'm looking at a potential job at your place of employment. Is this a good place to work? What do you think? Does this feel like a good fit for my resume? Because you never know, there might be a financial incentive for them to put you up for the job. You might have a warm introduction. It's possible, depending on the size of the company. Never know. Never know. All right, let's get to it. Let's look at those job numbers. So these job numbers, again, I track job numbers for web developers. That's what I've been doing the vast majority of my career for 30 years. And um, and it's still a significant portion of tech, the overall tech space, right? So if web developers are going up in general, that means the tech space is going up too. There are some exceptions to that, but by and large, it's a good thumbnail. We're really kind of more interested in trends with these graphs, and what we can see with the trends is, not great news, frankly. In the last 7 days, there's a slight uptick, but when you look at the last 6 months, that uptick is really from a new low that we've hit this year. So it's not anything to brag about, but we'll take any good news we can get. We saw that once the inauguration happened, everything's been relatively flat, and then the tariffs hit, and everything's lower, but still relatively flat. If we look at the last year, we can see that we're probably about 30% off of where the job numbers were this time last year. Not great news. But at the end of the day, if you see anything on this graph, it means that there are new jobs being posted every day. And every new job is a possible opportunity for you, depending on what your resume is and what the job posting is. So we're going to keep hustling until we get that job. That's our job right now, is to get a job. We're marketing a product. That product is us. And we're not going to give up until somebody buys. All right. The other thing we do is hit the news. I always like to look at LinkedIn because that's where recruiters are. That's where we go to research those jobs. But also, it's got a good little news feed in there that oftentimes has stuff that affects us in tech and the wider business world. So we had a news story today about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau being cut 90% of its workforce, 1,500 firings. 90%. What do the other 10% do? If somebody comes in, they're like, "Oh, we're making 15% job cuts." Like, all right, that's gotta suck for those remaining 85% who just got stuck with more work. But if you worked long enough, you've been in that situation where somebody leaves or gets fired, and now you got more stuff on your plate. It happens. But 90% of the workforce, what does that 10% do? What could they possibly do? And one of the people here who worked, she replied to this or responded, made a post on LinkedIn yesterday that she got laid off as a senior litigation counsel for the Consumer Financial Protection. And she'd been there for 8 years. She'd basically been there since day one. And when you read her story, she's an attorney. She could have been making a lot more money in the private sector. I know this firsthand because my wife is an attorney who works for the state of Texas. Also, as a as a public servant. And, you know, again, my wife could be making a lot more money in the private sector, but she's chosen, like this woman, uh, to serve the public and in an important way, to protect the public from people who would take advantage of them. This stuff is very frustrating to me. Again, we can argue whether there's waste and fraud in the government, but you're telling me there's 90% of the staff is waste and fraud? That's just not true. That's just not true. So frustrating. So frustrating. And, more and more we see stories about people who are watchdogs. You see the uh, tax people last week being let go or being bought out. Less people collecting taxes. Less people auditing tax cheats. Like, there seems to be, at every turn, a removal of people whose job it is to curb fraud, real fraud. So this is super frustrating for me. It's not a political stream, but that just don't make sense. Private equity firms confront the deal drought. This was another thing that was supposed to happen with the new administration. They were going to be given the green light to a bunch of companies making deals. Deal making. Private equity firms that were counting on deal making bonanza during the new administration are facing instead a landscape of frozen by recession worries. The public equity firms holding on to a record number of companies they're waiting to sell, raising new funds has gotten trickier, and top names like Blackstone, Apollo, and KKR have seen their shares slip. As one executive tells the Financial Times, private equity will go risk off for a while. Uncertainty. We've been hearing this term for, a month now. Businesses don't like uncertainty. They don't hire. They don't move ahead with mergers and acquisitions. They don't do IPOs. All of this is happening right now because of some of the steps the administration has taken. Google Meta face a major reckoning after a tumultuous week. The days of growth at all costs may be numbered for Google and Meta. Google's loss in a high-profile antitrust case puts the company's hugely valuable ad business at risk, while Meta's ongoing trial could force to relinquish Instagram and WhatsApp. One industry insider calls it an integrity crisis moment, but the turmoil could benefit the likes of OpenAI and Anthropic, offering it a chance to move in on Google's search dominance. I don't know if I would make that leap personally. Google was doing plenty to screw their Google search dominance. They didn't need any help with that. And all it's doing is messing with Google's, huge reserves of cash. Google was a money-losing business for quite a while, and then they figured out the ad business, and then they just started printing money, and they've been doing that for 20 years plus. In the same way that Amazon was losing money, and they figured out AWS and hosting, and that was just a money printing organization for them. The difference is Amazon's doubling down on their AWS, and Google is cutting the legs out from under them by adding AI. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, this is another thing that the companies, large tech interests, really thought that everything was going to get better under this administration in terms of regulation and these court cases that the last administration had put against them, but doesn't seem so. Didn't seem so. Chinese shopping apps are getting an unexpected boost from the new U.S. tariffs. DHgate is now the second most downloaded free app in the United States, while Taobao's just broken into the top 5, quintupling its downloads since March. Beyond the surge, the spate of TikTok videos claiming that many luxury items are actually made in China can be bought directly from that company on the cheap. While it's highly improbable that that's true, plenty of tariff-wary Americans are jumping on the deals. Yeah, a bunch of not very bright people are buying knockoffs right now. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't directly affect me. I don't have any of those shopping apps. I also don't have TikTok on my phone, and you know, I started seeing these things months ago about how there are a bunch of TikTokers who are basically shilling for brands and doing a bunch of like sales videos. It sort of moved on from the dance craze videos and the cat videos to now there's like major commerce going on the platform. Again, I don't have TikTok installed. I've never installed it, so I'm kind of out of that loop. But where commerce is, you know, there's going to be extra scrutiny and also a mad rush of scammers for sure. We saw that on Facebook ads. We saw that in a lot of different places where, you know, all of a sudden there's cheap ad buys to be had, and scammers just roll in there with a bunch of fake ads to rip people off, either not giving them anything at all or giving them something other than what they bought. You know, like I bought this new, you know, something, and what I got instead was this cheap like $3 watch that was in a box or something like that. Like you saw those stories a bunch in days gone by, and yeah, where there's opportunities to cheat people, there will be a mad rush. Greedy people thinking they can get something for almost nothing will be parted with their money, as they say. Google has an ad tech monopoly, says the judge. The federal judge ruled that Google runs and worked to maintain a monopoly in 2 advertising tech markets. If the tech giant's third antitrust loss, it is the third loss following an August ruling about an online research dominance, and in December of 23, App Store decision. The latest ruling is largely a victory for the Justice Department and states that filed suit through the judge, though the judge ruled that Google did not have a monopoly on the third ad tech market. Google says it will appeal. Yeah, I mean, you know, again, these businesses are too big. They're making too much money, and they're going to be, with that comes a lot of power, and that power will be wielded. Again, we were talking just a second ago about Amazon. Amazon's got huge piles of cash that they've been pulling in from AWS. And what do they want? You know, one of the things they've been doing for years now is just looking at the data on the Amazon.com to see the products that are selling the most, that have the highest margins. And then they're introducing products of their own. We see this in grocery stores where, you know, the products that you love are starting to be taken off the shelves, and in place is going to be the house brand version of that. That's kind of a cheap knockoff. It's not as good more times than not as the original that you really want, but it's a higher profit margin for the store, for Amazon. So, like, again, once you know, reach a certain size and have a certain amount of influence, it's in the nature of a publicly traded company to use that advantage to increase the value of their shareholders. Like, this is the way that business works, right? And again, you know, I'm not a huge fan of not just monopolies, but again, companies of a certain size, because again, with that influence comes the natural uh, inclination to abuse that power and influence. Just the way the world works. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. What's going on in tech? Tech. Yeah, I always hit that technology page. It's always just games and phones. Games and phones. What's going on in artificial intelligence? Yeah, Nvidia is having a rough week because they can't sell to China. And I think the number yesterday was $55 billion that they're losing with these limitations. Gemini Advanced is free for students with Google One AI Premium. Free for college students. Tech industry fears Donald Trump's trade war will hamper U.S. AI dominance. AI can't predict the impact of tariffs, but it will try. As the trade war escalates, hence launches an AI advisor to help companies manage risk. Yeah. There's no managing of risk. Like, it's just on again, off again trades. Like, you can't forecast when you don't know which way the wind's blowing from day to day. And you can't trust, the statements by the administration's own advisors. Like, one person comes out and says one thing, another person somewhere else and says another thing, and then the president comes out and makes them both look like fools. Like, this is not a coordinated messaging from the administration, and because of that, it's making everybody circle the wagons. They just can't trust from one day to the next where things are going to be. This college protester isn't real. It's an AI-powered undercover bot for cops. Undercover bot for cops. This college protester isn't real. So they're using AI honeypots to, entrap dumb college students. They do this over and over again. We see this over and over again. They just need to stay out of that nonsense. I'm not a fan. The real argument artists should be making against AI. AI Studio Ghibli images spark backlash. AI has grown beyond human knowledge, Google's DeepMind unit says. When they, I don't know if that's a quote. There's not quotes around it, but when they say knowledge, human knowledge, well, I mean, that's sure. If you want to parse those words, does AI, any model, the smallest, weakest, dumbest model from 2 years ago, hold more knowledge than any particular human? Well, yeah. You fed billions of fact points into the model. It's got tons of information in there. But can it reason? That's a different question. Revolutionizes crypto trading and realistic scene generation. Okay, whatever. Scale AI co-founder is the world's youngest self-made woman billionaire. Okay. Yep, Gemini Flash. I have not had a chance this week. I went 2 days without pushing code out to Google uh, to GitHub. I was working on another project that was not code related, but I've been really pushing this year to get more consistent with my code pushes, and this is the first time in a month that I missed 2 days. I went 2 days without pushing out code, and I didn't write any code, so that's fair. But things happen, I suppose. I got to write some code today. I got to push it out. Can't get slacking like that. But these new models have been released, and I did check to see they are available in Cursor. I do want to give them a run and see what if they have any breakthroughs. But we'll see. Google Gemini model has a dial to adjust how much it reasons. Okay. Okay, James Cameron. James Cameron says blockbuster movies can only survive if we cut the cost in half. He's exploring how AI can help without laying off the staff. Interesting. Okay. What are we doing on time? Oh, we're running up against it. Okay. So let's wrap it up. It is, if you're late to the stream, it is Friday. I stream Monday through Friday, and don't stream on the weekends. But I'm going to say what I always say on Fridays, and that is I will not be here for you. I'm going to let you down tomorrow morning, but you're going to be up. You're going to be up bright and early tomorrow. You're going to grab a caffeinated beverage, and you're going to hit the job boards, and you're going to get job applications out tomorrow. And you're going to do it on Sunday. And you're going to find there aren't as many new job postings on Sunday as there were on Saturday or Friday. But what you will find, because I do get up and I check the numbers, even if I'm not streaming, I put them in my graph. You're going to find that even though there are less jobs, there are also less people competing for those jobs because they're taking the weekends off. But you're not. You are on top of it. You want to get that job. You are committed. And so you're going to get up bright and early tomorrow. You're going to get up bright and early on Sunday. You're going to get, filter those job listings for the last 24 hours, and you're going to get to the top of the list of those ones that you put in because there's going to be less competition. And that's what we need. We need to stand out from the crowd. And there's a bigger crowd now. We just saw more layoffs are happening, right? They're continuing to happen. More people are out of a job, and they're entering the job market right now. The competition's getting tougher. We got to use every angle to stay on top of it. And one of those ways is, again, just find the bluest of oceans. And for you, that's going to be Sunday morning. Sunday morning, you're going to find a half a dozen job postings and a much smaller group of people who are out there putting in applications for those jobs. Oh, they'll put the applications in, but they won't get them in until Monday. And then by that time, they're going to be at the bottom of the stack and you're going to be at the top of the stack. So that's what we need. We need to use every angle, stay on top of it. Again, program note, I'm moving the stream to 9 a.m. from 8 a.m. Central Standard Time starting on Monday. So we'll be back then. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on the other side. Thanks, everybody.